Whenever you are.
He's controlling the board. We're live now. There's a major echo.
I'll do your intro, man. You go ahead and go. Ready? Yep. Yay. Speak one.
I'm waiting for you to fix all the.
I'm already set up.
No, there's a major echo.
Massive.
You can't hear it?
The only person that cares about this so-called echo is you.
Is me. Yeah. Hey guys, it's me, Lola. And I'm here with Varian always. But I got a new person today.
It's not my name.
It is your name.
My mama didn't name me Varian always.
Oh, you're always with me. So you're Varian always.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
That's horrible.
What sounds perfect?
The sound just suddenly changed, and it's perfect now.
Oh yeah, because he changed all his sound.
Nice.
It was his fault. I blame him.
Sounds about right.
It was my fault. It's fixed now.
Yeah, he's gonna draw while I talk. Well, why don't you introduce yourself, Chuck, so people can know who you are?
I'd love to. Thanks. Hey guys, I'm Chuck Pino. I'm an indie comic writer and editor. You can find me on Facebook, PINEAU. The name's down there. You can find me on Twitter at ChuckyPin. I do reviews, indie comic reviews, so you can check that out either on Indie Advocates or actually there's a bunch of different websites it's on. It's also on what is it? I don't even remember all of them, but you can find it on YouTube for sure. Chuck's Raw Reviews, and then you can track down any of my work on Facebook at Bonfire Press. Essence House is my new audio drama, and of course Belial Comic.
Awesome. You do a lot of stuff.
I'm a very busy, and those are just my projects. Of course, most of the work I do is actually for other people. Most of my work right now is editing.
That sounds difficult.
It is. It honestly it is, because really I got into the business for my own stories, but I've fallen in love with editing and working with other people. So
what about editing? Do you like?
I love that we can take someone's dream, someone's story, and just try to make it the perfect version of what it is. And I love being able to, there's a lot less stress working on somebody else's thing and just kind of going, okay, cool, let's really build this thing up, because I'm not starting from zero. They already have their idea, they already have their stuff, so it's working with something else.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm writing my book, so I'm gonna be looking for an editor probably soon. Besides my husband, of course.
I refuse to edit her work. I tried.
I think it's smart. I mean, I edit for my wife, and my wife has edited for me. But I mean, we've worked for each other for 20 years. Like, that's just how we've done. And sometimes it's easier just to go, look, you know what? I need someone who's not going to be a regular pain in my ass. I need a different pain in my ass.
I don't know.
Are we allowed to say ass
like
here?
100 pains in my asses.
Ew.
You are. You're like a pain in my ass times 1,000.
Oh, I thought you said you like having
pain
in your ass.
No. No. Not at all. Maybe you, but...
Ooh, this is such a revealing chat. I'm loving it.
My show is different. We talk about pretty much anything. We try to talk about mainly comics, but it goes everywhere.
Good.
That's horrible.
Especially when Rob gets in the chat.
It's not a fine quality show like mine. Which is
shoot! We're assuming that yours is a fine quality show.
Let me answer some of these comments. I got a whole bunch.
Okay.
If they'll come up.
I see Dave's in the chat.
Yeah, Larry says, "What up, Holmes?"
What up, Larry?
Dave says, "Hello, everyone."
I've worked with that dude.
Larry says, "Say my name, say my name."
Oh, that Candyman tricked me.
Yeah, I know, right?
And Larry also says he's a pain in the ass.
I mean, if you are, live it, right?
You're not forced here to be drawing. Don't blame me.
What is that? Why is your microphone popping?
I don't know.
I don't like that.
Okay.
What did Rob do? Rob, you do everything. You're trouble.
Well, Rob,
I got accused of being of owning StreamYard.
Yeah.
Today.
So wouldn't that be awesome?
It would be awesome. But no, I don't own StreamYard.
Are you sure? Between you and Rob. Rob owns the internet. He might have loaned you StreamYard.
Actually, I'm gonna put it. Here's the truth. Me and Rob own StreamYard. We do.
Rob and I started stream.
I'm frozen. Go to yours.
Well, I can still hear you on the mic. Yeah, Rob and I started StreamYard. It's true.
You might have to close your mic now. There you go. Yeah, you might want to get rid of
Yeah, I have to get rid of
OBS.
So sad. Look at that. Improper video equipment. My goodness, you'd never catch that type of stuff on Indie Vault. So Chuck, alright. Let's say some poor, misled soul, much like Lola, decides, I want to do funny books. I want to make funny books, and I'm going to make them. Are there any books out there that you would suggest a person like Lola or anybody pick up and read?
Wow, oh man, there's so many out there. You ever get like so many answers in your head that it just explodes and you can't think of one?
Yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis' book.
Bendis has a book?
Are you kidding me?
I didn't know Bendis had a book.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like Words and Pictures or something like that.
Okay.
Of course, oh my goodness. Eisner.
All right.
Eisner's book.
I know that
I almost want to start editing.
I like Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics.
Scott McCloud, yes.
Yeah. He's got a couple of them, but the Understanding Comics one is one that that's the one that I really like.
That's one of the first ones I read as far as making comics.
Mm-hmm. What did you take out of those books?
Understanding comics was a lot of like, just kind of, it wasn't so much of a how-to, I would guess, but it was really just kind of understanding, how comics are made and a lot of everything behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Really understanding the medium as it is. Brian Michael Bendis' book is a lot more technical in how you're actually building everything and making everything and learning about the different steps and all that kind of stuff.
I have to read that. I haven't read his book. I didn't even know he had one. So
yeah, no, it's good. It's really, I own it.
I'm about to pick a copy of it up now. Um, Larry's status. I want to do funny books, but I am not funny like a clown. Am I funny to you? Is that it? Am I amusing to you? Um,
Rob says pick the right ones, not the wrong ones.
yeah, yeah. We've got
So we have another guest.
Ooh.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. How you feeling?
I'm getting better.
That's good. Yeah, I saw the post on Facebook. I was getting worried about you.
I can't do a lot of activities, but if I'm just sitting down, I'm good.
Well, it gives her a lot of time to write that comic.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, one of the best things about everyone being cooped up is that we can catch up on our projects.
Yep.
Yeah.
And college work.
That too.
Yeah, if there's a college after this, I think we're gonna just.
Hey, I'm still doing my work.
Man, that's some dedication there. Cause I would have been like, nah, I'm just gonna go here and just lay down, eat these Cheetos, and watch this Netflix until
And that's how you get fat.
get fat. I'm already here.
You're speaking in pretense when you should be speaking in present tense.
Yeah, get fat. I'm got that nice artist hump going on there. That's what Randy calls it. Yeah. So,
Screw the beer belly or the entire beer industry.
yeah, I'm keeping them afloat.
Literally.
Yeah. It's funny. Funny thing is I don't drink, but I consume a lot of caffeine, like way too much caffeine, and I think that's
I
just.
feel you on that. I'm a coke fiend.
Yeah. Well, wait. What?
I love my Coca-Cola.
Okay, let's get Nick some help.
I know, right?
Nick,
Get that can out of his hands.
Nick, yeah. Go ahead, say that again, Lola.
Oh, I said, Nick, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Nick Gibson, writer extraordinaire. I manage the company The Phoenix Press, and I also am the writer of the comic book Project Access, which will be hitting Kickstarter in very early May. When exactly? That is to be announced.
I forgot we're using my microphone. Now, Nick, and I guess I can ask this to everybody. Rob recently went on. He had a. It's best to say it's a crisis of his conscience. He decided that he couldn't, in good faith, ask people to fund his book, which is I think a couple days from closing. So he pulled his project off of Kickstarter until the coronavirus pandemic has settled, or at least we're through it. He felt people should be maybe trying to conserve their money or spending their money on what they actually might need, like toilet tissue and sanitary and sanitary napkins.
I get the sanitary napkins, but the TP, I think it's totally ridiculous.
So are you thinking maybe your project might not go to crowdfunding in May? You might have to push it back. Is that on the table? Is that an option?
I mean, it's something I've thought about. I mean, I definitely understand what the thought process of Rob, and I definitely support that kind of line of thinking. But for me, it's kind of like I'd already planned it for be early May, so like I'm kind of seeing where things go. Kind of thing where it's like if we're hitting really bad, I might push it back. But if the planned stimulus thing that they're talking about happens. It would hit in late April, which would be right in time for my Kickstarter anyway.
Okay.
I might just launch it. I'm just.
I'll launch mine too. I'll launch a Kickstarter. I'll call it out. Listen, use your stimulus money on me, on my products. Damn it, I need that money. I need it. I gotta have it. Chuck.
Well, Rob said he thought about doing it, but actually never did.
Oh
well, that just took the whole wind out of the argument.
You fucking virtual signaler. You've had me. You had me up here singing your praises. Oh my goodness. Rob's new initials. Rob's new name is Samuel Joseph Warner. Initials SJW. You social justice warrior. You virtual signaled me, and now I look like Boo Boo the Fool. I'm just messing with you, Rob. But yeah, okay. So, Chuck.
I still love you, Rob.
Yeah, right.
Chuck, being a famed Marvel writer, and we know you use a nom de plume when you write for Marvel. Dance a lot, but you said that you recommended those books. But what, like, when you see a script go out, like Lola's script is very adult in nature. It's got a
Okay.
lot of sexuality, and I guess there's scenes of rape, correct?
There will be.
Yeah. Do you, as an editor, do you feel that you have to approach that and kind of? Is there anytime you have to maybe try to get the writer or the creator to scale back on that or scale back on what they're saying needs to be shown? Is that the job of an editor?
I mean, it can be, certainly. The thing is that what we would need to do is we need to have the conversation. What's your audience? And that's the big one, because if she's like, well, I was thinking like a nice, PG-13 group, you're like, yeah, okay, so that might not work so much. But if you're talking like you want to make a serious, say, underground comic, then I don't think there's a lot holding us back. I think really you would need to find your take on it and how you want to do it. Sometimes, there are ways of going too much and doing too big, and so we just have to find our approach.
I had a story a couple years ago, and I maybe mentioned this before, but I had a story that was about a young lady who was she was a nerd in school. No one liked her. People liked her, but she was a nerd. She dressed in frumpy clothes from like the Salvation Army, long dresses, just real frumpy looking girl. And she had a friend of hers who was she was like an outsider, but she was into witchcraft and all that kind of stuff. But she was popular, and so she just put a protection spell on her. Just messing around with her, and some kids bullied her, and they ended up tricking her out to a party, and they pulled a prank on her, and she ends up calling her teacher to help her because they've taken her clothes and everything, and not all of her clothes, but a lot of it. They stripped her down to like her underwear, and she had her purse, so she was able to call her teacher because she was not supposed to go to this party. Her grandparents had forbade it, and she went anyway. So she uses the phone to call her teacher. Teacher comes and gets her. Says, "Oh, you know what? Let me stop. I have to stop and see my grandparents while I'm out this way," because it was like about 40 miles from home. So he gets her in the house and hits her in the back of the head. She wakes up, and he's got her strapped to a bed. There are several other girls in the room, and they tell her, here's what we're doing. Well, they tell her what's happening. What this teacher is doing is he is allowing. He was a gym teacher, and he's a favorite teacher. He was military, but what he does is that he has a service where he allows men to come pay for sex with these girls, and these are usually men who are disfigured horribly with communicable fatal illnesses. They can come pay him for to be with these girls, and he keeps them chained up, and it's a really horrible story. But the thing is, and he drugs them up. Well, she dies. And when the girls die, he just picks them up, takes them out to this little lake in the back of the cabin, drops them in the lake, and that's it. Well, the plan was we're going to show, like summertime that happened. We're going to show the seasons pass. So like, the leaves are on the ground, the snow's on the ground, the grass is dead, the grass is alive again, and she walks out of the lake. And she looks at the house, and she goes in the house, and she kills him. And
a lady of the lake.
And the editor and the artist came to me, both of them, and they said, you can't do this. This is way too dark. And I thought, well, I mean, guys, this is, the story I want to tell. And like, no, you just can't do this, Rand. This is so dark. And the editor told me it was so dark that it was unbelievable. It would never happen. Something like that would not happen in reality. Which is like, okay, it's fantasy, but speed ahead.
Have they ever heard of John Wayne Gacy? Have they ever heard of like any of the serial killers?
Well, yeah, that's
Ed
what
Gein,
I was.
Ed Gein. Like,
Yeah.
seriously, like had a house full of he had upholstered furniture that was upholstered in human skin.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
actually happened. Like literally, like yeah, Ed Gein was the basis for like a lot of slasher flicks. But the truth is actually worse than some of those movies.
Well, the thing is, it's sad that you mentioned that. It's good that you mentioned that too, because 2 years ago in my neighborhood, right around the corner, they had a young lady who was mentally challenged, and the people were keeping her in their shed because she couldn't pay rent, and they were making her exchange sexual favors with any guy who came by. And I thought, like, that's damn near close to my story. As sick as it is, that's damn near close. So luckily, the cops are able to go in there and get the young lady and help her.
Yeah.
But that type of stuff is, when you hear about it, it breaks your heart. It's like, I wrote that.
I once
So,
watched a news story about these people. They went into Europe and they're looking into the European like sex trade, and
Yeah.
they went into these brothels, and they showed that these women were eating out of dog dishes, like literal metal dog dishes. And he bought one of the girls for $600. That was the value of life to them. $600. That like you can't even buy a good car for that much. I'm sorry, but human life is worth a fuck ton more than 600.
Well, depends on the human life. I know some people who ain't worth a penny, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, fine, you got me there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. Chuck,
Yeah.
is there a time where would you have that conversation with me about, like, because I will admit this book was meant for a mature audience. Did I go too dark? Should I have been pulled back?
No, I actually think that was a bad guy. Look, maybe they're not prepared to tell that story, but I've been a part of like, everything from the fetish stuff all the way down to like kids books and whatnot. Your story is your story. I would have been all right, but I think I would have been like, how do you plan on marketing this? Wait, who do you think is going to buy this? Like, I would want you to at least have a plan. Because if you're like, oh, I'm just going to bring this to any old Comic Con, it's like, yeah, I don't know that it is quite like that. That might be more of a specialty con or something. But I would at least want you to think ahead and have a plan. And then if that's still the horror cons would be perfect for that. But as long as you have a plan and you know how you want to sell it, then yeah.
So you get and Lola's story has a lot of sex in it. I refer to her story as
It's got a lot of sex, but it's also dark.
I think her story to me, if I had to give it that, it's not even the elevator pitch, but to me it's like Eyes Wide Shut meets Saw.
Okay.
And
That's
so
an interesting combination.
Yeah, and it's I really like it. And she's excited when she's writing. I can tell she's excited about it. But
That's good.
I just where did she take this? I told her, I said, when you take this to shows, sweetheart, you're gonna have to like bag it up and tell people, like, would you like to see a copy of it, and let them hold that copy and flip through it themselves and give it back, like, ask to see the reader. Because what you don't want, how many times we had it happen at shows, a fan runs to the table, or a kid runs to the table and it starts getting your books and going through them. And we keep readers out. We keep reader comics out all the time on the table. Pick it up, flip through it, sure. But I'm always worried, and Lola's always worried about a child getting a hold of a book. So I wanted my book's catharsis. It stays. I have a reader out, but I tell people, ask to see the reader, because there's some violence in there, very light nudity. There's some buttocks, That's all you see.
Yeah. One thing I plan on doing with my books is like I have a few scripts in development that are made for mature audiences. And what I plan on doing is like on the top of the book will be like a red band and white text will say for mature audiences only. I'll call them my red band books. And that'll be like kind of your indicator. They'll kind of be like a parental advisory or an M rating. Basically, those are like my R-rated books that like anyone clearly under the age of 16, I wouldn't allow to read it without the parents' permission.
Right. And that's what the gentleman who wants to come on my show on Indie Vault wants to talk about, because he thinks that we need to have you need to remember the comic book code authority, because he says that he's tired of picking up. But yeah, he said that shit. He does not want us to face. His thing is he doesn't want us to face like government. A government like seizure of our comics. All of a sudden now the government's regulating what we can put in these books, so we need to self-police again. And my thing is this: if you want to come up with a standardized measurement of content, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is you telling me I have to be censored. I can't put something in the book now.
See, the problem with the Comics Code Authority label, it was an either-or system. Either you're approved or you won't. And there's a huge difference of content. Like, for example, the Spider-Man drug issue. The government literally asked them to do that issue. And when they did that, the Comics Code Authority wouldn't do it, but they published it anyway. You read it, it's really quaint. It's like mild PG-13 at best. Yeah. And somehow that's no. I think most people would do, like, the biggest problem facing comics is we don't have a standardized rating. The movies have PG, PG-13R. Video games have ETM. And everyone knows those. Comic books don't really have that. If the whole entire industry had a age rating system that we could agree upon, it would make things a lot easier.
I'll tell you the problem with that. The problem with that, one, is that the ESRB, which is video games, we didn't have that until the 90s, and they had an issue trying to get that off the ground at first. Because Sega jumped and did theirs first, and then that was all over the place, and now there's a standardized one. Now, here's the problem.
We just watched a documentary on that.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if, and you guys might be in agreement with me. Okay, so we decide we're going to do a standardized rating system in comics. It's going to make an editor's job a lot worse. Chuck will be fully gray. He'll be fully gray. He'll be like, because he'll be trying, I want to bring this in on at a EA 17 rating or whatever.
Kind of like how a lot of movies are marketed at a PG-13 angle, because PG-13 is the most marketable rating there is.
Right. But then here's what'll happen. Well, just like with movies, there's a documentary called Not Yet Rated. I suggest you all watch it, because
I heard about the politics with the MPAA.
They will tell us, submit your book to us before you print it. Submit it to us, all the pages in your story. Submit it, and by the way, we need, just like with movies, we need 10% of your budget. So whatever your budget is, you pay us 10% of that to rate your comic. And
well, that's when magically my budget is $10. Congratulations.
What is it? No, they'll say, I know what they'll say 10% of your budget or $100. What are you about to say, Chuck? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I said my budget's $10. Same thing Nick did.
Well, yeah, but see, to circumvent that, what those companies like to do is they'll say it's got to be 10% of your budget or $100 if your budget is $10, just to make sure they get something out of it. And it's like, for this rating, and it's not fair, and I know that's where this whole thing will go. I know it. And so this guy who wants to come on and debate bringing back the Comics Code Authority, it's like, but he wants to bring back the standardized Comics Code Authority, the basic. And how hard does that make your job, Joe? If a Comics Code Authority were to come back, I mean, editing would, I think, be the first and largest part of our business that's affected.
Yeah, because then I have to go through and I have to be like, well, you said you wanted a PG-13 rating. You have only one F word. However, you've got this going on. Like, I have to now go through this damn checklist of what you can and can't have in there to make sure that we hit it. And even people have said a lot of those ratings, they've been played with, and like they can be fairly arbitrary and whatnot. So
like you watch a PG
I think
movie like you watch Gremlins, or perfect example, Top Gun. That's a PG rated movie. Yet they say the S word like 2 times every scene. They say shit every scene. The Matrix. That if that movie came out now, it would be PG-13. Like they don't. There's not one F bomb in the entire Matrix. There's like maybe one. The only time they show blood is they shoot him and he falls to the ground and you see the blood on it there. There's almost no blood in that movie. The Matrix is literally a PG-13 movie in today's standards.
Rob wants to be on the show.
Who?
Rob.
Yeah.
You have that guy.
Bring him on.
Yeah.
He's got good stuff to say.
Yeah, Rob. I mean, if you want to come on, you want to come on with him. I think Josh said either he didn't want to be on or he definitely wants to be on. But yeah, Rob. I like to have you on there when he comes on there, and you too, Chuck. It'd be good for you guys to just listen to this guy because he's really passionate about it.
I don't know that I want to listen
to him. What's that? Larry says, "Can I have $10? I need to put toilet paper. I need to buy toilet paper from the shady guy down the road." Yeah.
Just go down to your nearest comic book store and stock up on 90s Image comics. You'll be fine.
Ooh. Yeah.
This show or the show we're talking about?
Yeah. Lola, you want to put the call-in link out there? You can.
Sure.
I'll
put an invite out for anyone that wants to join us.
Yeah, and then even on that show when we do. Now, I don't want you guys to all double team the guy when he comes on, but I would like you guys to have debate and talk with him and explain to him why I've told him it's a fucking stupid idea. But yeah, like I said,
I can get passionate with my debates too, and I can just see myself like us getting like very heated, and I want to avoid that. So,
Chuck, would your prices go up though?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah. More work equals more pay. I mean, it's simple.
Yeah. I mean, really, I would have to raise the prices, and you would almost have to raise them depending on the amount of what I have to go through. Like if you're a it'd be ridiculous. I'm trying to think about having to do that, and oh my gosh, that would suck.
It's so frustrating.
Is it enough to like? Is it enough to make you like say maybe not editing anymore? Maybe I don't need to do this.
No, because again, anything you do, you can make it easier with money.
The only like compromise. The only kind of compromise system I can think of is basically we all have a set of like ratings guidelines, but there's no governing board to determine what the rating is. Like the rating is assigned by the creator or the publisher, but it's more just like a standardized like these are the ratings and like this is what they are. So it's like kind of leave it up to the publisher to assign the ratings, kind of thing. Yeah. But see, the problem with that is what happens then is that you now have, again, me and Larry and Chuck all have maybe 3 different ideas of what PG-13 is. Whereas, like I, for one, for instance, I'm okay with my son seeing Rick and Morty. I'm totally okay with it. While, the wife will freak out. Like, he can't watch that. And I'm like, yeah, he can. If we're talking about, like, differing standards, like, it's really crazy how like, lopsided the U.S. and the U.K. is with like how, like for example in the U.S. it's like you can have the most goriest dismemberment, you can show the most various thing, but don't dare show a nipple. But in the U.K. it's like the most you can show tits on 11 o'clock television and that's fine. But like just having a ninja star there is R rated.
Yeah, Rob says censorship is communism.
Damn straight, damn fucking straight. That's commie talk.
Joining the chat with us here on Geekgasm is our good friend Larry Higgins. Larry, you I see you're all masked up there. You're
well, I'm under quarantine, right? It's the way it is. Canada is on lockdown. We shut down the border. We can't travel to the U.S. The world has ended.
Yeah,
it's amazing how quickly Canada was mocking us for our immigration policies, but as soon as shit hits the fan, they did the same. I'm sorry, I had to throw that shade. I apologize.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with having a rating system. I think it's actually probably a good idea. I mean, movies have rating systems, video games have rating systems. Hell, even music has a rating system, right? And it would help, say, for someone like Lola to have like a symbol on her book that indicates that this is straight out not for anyone under, say, the age of 18. You know what I mean? Or something that says, hey, this is cool for 13 and up. Now, who gets
like
to decide
a band on the top of your book that says for mature audiences only?
Yeah, we have that already in some cases, but that's sort of like a voluntary thing that some people put on their books and some people don't. But I'm talking like a universal standard that we can all come to agree on what is acceptable for certain age brackets, and that's kind of like where the shady water sort of comes into play.
Yeah.
But if we could figure it out, that'd be great. I mean, obviously they've done it for movies.
Rob hit the nail on the head. It's like, sometimes that doesn't even work at all, because we still see moms are being like, these kids are playing Call of Duty, they're playing Grand Theft Auto.
I think
they're M-rated games.
The era of the Christian moms, the Tipper Gores, I think that went out in the 80s. I don't think we got to worry about that anymore.
I'd say it went out in the late 2000s. Like, it was still a thing in the early 2000s.
Oh, you know what?
I mean, look at the GTA conference. Like, what was that lawyer's name? I can't remember him, but he was I can't remember his name, but he was going against GTA 3 and whatnot in the early 2000s.
Yeah. I mean, we have to worry more about people like Anita Sarkeesian now than we have to do like angry church ladies.
I don't know. I'm asking Randy Zimmerman to come in here because he has a story about censorship.
I love
not censorship, but he has a story about being attacked by a group of angry moms, and it's very entertaining. But Chuck, just from a writer standpoint and an editor standpoint, when you're looking at some type of because I mean, and the reason why I guess I got off on this tangent about censorship is that Lola's book is adult, and if someone said, okay, well, so if Lola comes to you and says, okay, I got this book, and it's adult, but now I gotta strip it down to be at least for. And they can put it in libraries at least. At what point are you? At what point
library am I going to?
Maybe a sexy library.
At what point, now you gotta take the whole book. You gotta go through it. You gotta take out stuff. Obviously, like you said, your price goes up, but
you're doing a Walmart edit, basically.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't there's two versions of the book at that point. Like, you got an adults only. Like, there was an adult film called Pirates, a couple years ago, and it was really high, budgeted. Like, they put a lot of money and a lot of time into that that particular movie. They did release a safe version of it. They released a version for regular air with no sexual content, but it was, it still wasn't, the adult film with all the sexual content. But first of all, do you think a situation like that, would you think a situation like that would actually separate the editors from the people who are just pretending to be editors? Because there are a lot of those out there too.
I mean, there's people pretending in anything, but yeah.
Yeah, but that there's a lot of people, faux editors.
The quote-unquote boys from the men, or the girls from the women.
Yeah, I suppose so. I'm not even sure that, anyways, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much work because, at that point, you're basically doing two different things. I would almost want to charge them twice for it, once for the one book and once for the other book, because it's two separate projects at that point.
Yeah.
I got a friend that's doing exactly that. His name is Slick Jimmy Love. He's doing a book called Little Girl Lethal. And so there's a modest version, right? And then there's an immodest version. And there's really not that much difference between the two other than skimpy clothes versus no clothes. But I do find that to be a thing where people have like these risque and non-risque. Usually you see it in comic book covers and not throughout the entire story. But now I'm starting to see it in stories. Sometimes you'll like say Dan Mendoza with Zombie Tramp. They'll have like their Fallout TNA covers, or Tom Hutchinson with Big Dog Inc. will sometimes have like the risque covers. Brian Polito's Lady Death and stuff like that.
Well, but see, in that case,
oftentimes it's a way to sell your book multiple times. Like you can initially put out the censored version, and then you can have like the special uncensored edition.
But in that case, what you're talking about is somebody like kind of digital artists open that up. Now you can go in there, take the same frame, change clothes, put a naked body here. You can do that type of stuff. But when even at just the writing phase, because like me and Lola are having issues with her story where I'm telling her, look, no, I don't like this part. This part needs to be changed. And I'm throwing stuff and ideas at her. And she's like, get away from me. Get away from me. You're messing up my story. This is my vision, damn you. So that's why I'm gonna pawn off on Chuck. Because now I do have another question for you. All right, Chuck, because I had this happen.
You would get irritated with me, probably.
I had a gentleman contact me. I'll tell you guys two different stories about writers. I had a writer contact me. He's like, look, I want to do this book. Can I send you the script? I was like, yeah, man, sure. Let me see the script. I know a lot of artists. Maybe I can get one of them to help you out. Maybe throw you a slightly discounted rate per page. If you got that fire in your belly, I want to help you, right? Well,
yeah.
He used his phone to take pictures of the notebook that he'd been writing in. And he sent all those to me, like 20 pages of like notebook, and he had atrocious handwriting. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, you don't have a typewriter? He's like, no. And I was like, shit, man, I can't read this. But so that was one.
Oh, sounds familiar.
Yeah. Then I have another writer that I'm working with. Oh, go ahead.
Before we get to that one, let's attack this first asshole. You're lazy. If I'm working for you, dude, you're fucking lazy. If you can take pictures with your phone and send it, you can also type it up on your phone and send it. So fuck off with that shit. It's ridiculous. I've had artists do the same thing where like they send me a picture they took of a page and it's penciled and you can barely see it in the light. And they're like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "What do I think of what? It's scratches." Like, no, send me something I can see, man.
The page is yellow. That's what I see.
Yeah, like you can't. No, man, I can't edit that. So you need to. That's just. To me, that's just unprofessional.
It was.
I'll make sure. I'll send you my notebook.
Yeah, she's gonna take pictures.
2 pages.
I can't wait to send Chuck something and watch him pull out the rest of his hair.
Yeah.
Chuck, I should send you some of my raw handwritten scripts before I transcribe them. Like literally, if I want to do torture, I will send you them to you.
It really did. It made me think like, why did he send me this? Like, does he really think this is the way we do things? And then I had another.
Breaking news.
Huh? Oh, breaking. Varian used typewriter because he loves Murder, She Wrote.
The 90s called. They want the reference back.
Hey, Angela Lansbury is awesome, man. You know what, too? I'll tell you guys another... No, I'm not going to tell you guys. I'll never live it down.
You act like you're already not an embarrassment, Varian.
Yeah, my favorite Golden Girl is Blanche because that was the only one I thought was attractive.
Well, she was like the sluttiest one, wasn't
she? Yeah. The other writer that I worked with, he doesn't mind me named. Well, he might. I'm not going to put his name out there, but he really is very passionate about what he's doing because he was sending me these scripts, and when he sent them to me, I'd have to reformat them because everything was like askew to like the left, like or to the right, or it was really. And it took me about maybe 5 or 6 minutes to reformat it and get it to where I can read it. And so finally, I questioned him. I said, "Hey, man, why in the hell is this laid out like this? Why is everything formatted so funky?" And he says, "Oh, let me see what I can do about that." And he tried to fix it. It didn't work. So finally, I'm like, "What program are you using? Download OpenOffice. Download Final Draft. What are you doing?" He says,
I love OpenOffice.
Yeah, I write it on my phone, and Notepad and his phone, and instantly, like my heart dropped. Like, oh my god! Like you sent me like 60 pages, dude. You wrote this on your phone? Character bios?
You do realize 50 Shades of Grey was written on a BlackBerry, right? I mean, that explains these spelling errors.
Well, that also explains 50 Shades of Grey.
But you got to realize that a lot of people out there actually don't even use computers anymore. They have phones, right? I know lots of people that don't have a desktop computer or even a laptop to sit down and write.
Poor souls.
They do their video editing on phones. They do their writing on phones. They use a phone basically like it's a computer now.
Poor souls.
He did the work, man. Good for him.
Yeah,
honestly.
And me and Lola were so taken by that and just motivated by this guy's ambition. We went and bought him a laptop.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I was like, dude, if you're gonna write for me, here's a laptop. Write it on something that you can be comfortable writing on. And
that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, we just want to help. And he's turned in like 5 or 6 more scripts since then. And he's really good guy, really passionate, always open and learning. And that's what you want to see.
Let's get his name out there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And it's funny is J.R. Dunn, who comes in the script, he comes in the chat quite often. He might even be in the chat right now, but I haven't seen the
update on the chat because Lola doesn't check her chat. Because I tried talking in her chat, she doesn't. She's oblivious to what's going on in there. So you have to go over to IndieVolt to see the chat.
Yeah, she's but yeah,
my computer keeps lighting up.
To see all these guys, and guys and girls that are writing scripts and learning the craft is really cool, and it keeps Chuck in business. Chuck, do you charge by the page? Because
or do you charge by the groan?
The project, the budget. Do you ask for 10% of budget?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't do the budget thing. So because I work mainly for indies, I have what I like to call a combo pack.
Okay.
And my thing is that there's tons of different types of editing. You can have developmental story, voice work, proofing, art direction. There's tons of different types. So what I do is I just say, look, I'm your guy. I'm your editor all the way through. I would like the script as early as possible, even pre-script, to start at your outline and move forward. I give them a price for the whole thing. But the one thing that you also get from me is you get the fact that I'm one of the few editors who also says, hey, look, not only am I working for you, but I'm a part of that team. So I help push that book.
Okay.
So I'll say, hey, man, this book's on Kickstarter right now. I edited it. It's awesome. I love it. Check it out. So, but I put all of that together into one big combo. So I basically do by every 20 to 30 pages, this is what the price is.
Eric says, why do you guys hire unprofessional artists? Because they're cheap. I hire unprofessional artists, writers. I don't really hire them for no. I'm trying to think. All the artists I've hired have been, for my projects, have been decent and all professional. But I mean, I've published some people that maybe needed a couple of Yeah. Randy,
we all got to start somewhere.
Finally, we got some common sense here, Mr. Zimmerman.
Hello,
Randy. I was hoping we were talking about.
I was hoping to get some sleep. What's going on?
We were talking about. Somebody mentioned that we don't have to really worry about the angry moms, and I was hoping that you can regale us with your story about the angry mob that assembled on you. And how you dealt with that? It was with the paper, with the advertisement in the back.
The crazy angry mom. You do not want to piss off angry moms.
Yeah.
How many decades ago was
the
this?
Mama Bears?
How many decades? You're so funny.
Was it before or after Jesus walked the earth?
How many decades was?
1984, Randy. Tell us the story, man.
A long time ago, back when I was a young whippersnapper.
Okay, Boomer.
Was this before? Was this before or after you had your drinking binge with Jesus?
What?
Was this before or after you had your drinking binge with Jesus?
I am not a boomer.
Well, it was this is under.
You remember the Greatest Generation?
You don't want my Jesus story, son.
This was
do not, because I will blow your mind and completely obliterate everyone's ideal of Jesus. Leave it alone.
Well, I'm kind of an airhead, so there's not much to love.
Civilization is freeing as we speak. We do not want to
Dogs and
destroy.
cats living together.
Well, okay, Randy, where is like
It was much less than a decade ago. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Mhm.
Probably 5 years. No, it was probably less than that. I'd have to dig up the exact issue, and I could tell you the month. But I did this paper. You know, we were doing this every month. This Flint Comics paper. We gave it away for free around the Flint area. We printed 10,000 copies of it. We got back only about, less than 500 every issue, no matter what time of year it was. During the summer, we were lucky to find any copies at all. In fact, there's some issues, it just completely disappeared within like a couple of weeks. But anyway, we were out looking for advertisers because it's advertiser supported. We give it away for free. We have little red boxes all over. In fact, the red boxes are still there, even though the paper hasn't come out in about a year. Little red newspaper boxes that people could just walk up, like the koala here, and just pick out a copy of a funny book paper every month. We were out looking for advertisers, and the local Deja Vu. Are you familiar with what Deja Vus are, Larry?
I have them every day, brother.
It's an 18+ strip joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an 18+ strip joint. I don't think you have them over there. But
we
anyway,
have one strip joint here.
Wow.
We're I don't know for how lucky we are, but
way up where you're at. So,
way up, man.
How's this? This chain used to advertise that they had hundreds of pretty girls and 3 ugly ones. That was their main tagline. It's just you were so unfortunate that whenever you walked in there, you hit the 3. That's another story. They would run and they probably still do, because I haven't checked on what they do anymore. They used to run superhero weekends where they'd have their girls dress up and cosplay. Available for strippage. So they contacted me and says, "You do a comic book paper. We want to advertise in your paper." And I says, "Oh, that would be great. But because I know you advertise in all the other newspapers, everywhere. Please make sure it's family friendly, because I have to deal with angry moms." "Oh yeah, no problem. We've done it before. We'll send you stuff. It'll be great." I said, "Okay, great." So they sent me an ad, and it looked really good. There wasn't anything. The girls in the ad were dressed better than, say, your average Image comic in the 80s. All right?
That's a pretty low bar to clear, but okay.
Okay. Well, no. I'm being very serious, Nick. That was the rule. You could walk into a comic shop and see girls dressed in much less. Mm-hmm. So I said, that's great. So we ran the ad. I ran the ad not on the back cover, because that would be really obvious. Because when you open up the paper, the first thing you hit is the back cover. Boom! You see that back cover? That's where all the major long-time advertisers go. And then you open it up, and you probably read it from front to back. Well, I stuck it on the inside back cover. And down in the lower part, there's a half a page ad, and they paid full price for it, which I was real happy to take that money. And
I'm sure you were.
They paid me in advance too, which was even better. That was cool. Nice
wow,
corporate,
sounds like they were easy to work with.
Oh, incredibly easy, very straightforward. It was a nice ad, but my problem was that it actually had the words live, adult, and entertainment all on one line in big letters. And, who I should have known better than to print that ad because of these angry moms. I get a email from this lady, and this was, back when email was there. Get an email from this lady, "What the hell are you giving to my 10-year-old son?" I walk into his room, and I look down, and I see the words live and adult and entertainment. And, oh my goodness, my son can't look at that.
The question I would ask her is, what the hell are you giving to your son?
No. You do not want to address these people. You are dealing with an angry mom. Angry moms, we're live, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Angry moms, I have found in my experience, are best left ignored. Because most of the time, the mom is just looking for validation. If you come back on her and say, "I'm so sorry," they'll come back on you and say, "Well, then why did you do it then?" So I ignored her. You know, she went out and found 3 of her friends, who found 3 of their friends, and some wackadoo, probably her, went around and sent anonymous letters out to all of my advertisers. Do you know that there's an advertiser in this paper that promotes adultery and blah blah blah? And it was an awesome letter. Well, I got calls from all of my advertisers. I swear, every last one of them, and they were all like, "We got a crazy letter from a wackadoo. Do you want to see it? About your paper? It's hilarious. Do you want to see it?"
Their reaction were probably like,
"Oh my god!"
But okay.
Same. So I went to see a couple of them. Same stationery. The stationery had a cartoony little yellow dog on it that said "woof woof," and it was all handwritten, but it was in such a scrawl you could tell that they were pissed. You know, either that or they were insane.
They had their angry eyes on that day.
Oh, it was bizarre, but every one of them was handwritten, which was really cool because somebody actually took the time to write the letter, write the same letter, write the same letter, write the same letter, and then they took a copy of the ad from the paper because you can pick up the paper for free. We moved a lot of papers in those months. Took it, ripped the ad out, stuck it in the envelope along with the mad letter, and sent it in to all of our advertisers. So everybody laughed. All of the advertisers laughed. They said that, you know, that it wasn't going to bother them. They were just worried for the paper because they wouldn't advertise in the paper unless they loved it. So it was okay, but she kept hounding me on Facebook. Every time I made a post, she'd come back, "Yeah, but you have an ad that says live adult entertainment on it." It's like, I guess I do. And I
imagine, like, oh, sorry.
I didn't talk to her. I just wiped out her messages. You know, and she got mad. A couple of the other moms sent in letters, but overall, that was about all that happened. And the storm went through really quick. I ran their 3 months worth of ads. I ended up getting a letter from an email from her that was really nice and very straightforward, and said, "I just want to know why. Why did you do this? You know, you're not responding back to me, and I would like to have an explanation." So I crafted an email that I was going to respond to her and with the same calm tone, and just tell her corporate business, nothing there was harmful. If you're that offended, I didn't say this in the letter, but I was going to say, if you're that offended by words, then maybe you better examine yourself. But I was about to send that email in when I got one from her husband. And it was totally off the wall irate. Just, "My wife told me I needed to do blah, blah, blah. We're never going to pick up your paper again. You guys, we are going to unfriend you from Facebook." And then I noticed that they had unfriended me. And I said, "Oh, there you go. Problem solved."
The horror.
I don't have to talk to this lady. Yeah, exactly.
No one unfriended you. Oh my god, I cry in my thousands of friends.
I don't have to talk to this lady ever again. That's cool.
Tara took itself out. That's what I was
saying. So is that
so.
where it ends? Like,
so I never bothered to send the email to her because I felt after she berated her husband to the point of writing me a nasty, and this was nasty. This was beyond angry. It was just spiteful, nasty, angry.
So let me ask you this: did you run the ad again the week later, or the next paper later?
I kept my fulfillment with the ad. I ran all 3 months.
Well, they had paid you, so yeah.
And they had paid me, and we ran it.
Yeah.
So I didn't mention it to anybody else. Nobody else actually talked to me about the ad. My advertisers looked at it. They didn't. None of my advertisers had a problem with it. I figured I was golden, and it went away.
So Randy, the gentleman who wants to come on and discuss, you know, there's a couple different things, and the reason why we brought that up is because we're talking about, you know, again, policing ourselves. Lola has a adult book, and
before you jump into that, I knew though if I were to respond to her, that it would just escalate. That there's
sounds like she was looking for a fight, dude.
Yeah, there's no.
You're acknowledging them. That's basically what a lot of these people do. That they want acknowledgement.
That's it.
You know,
they apologize. It's an admission of guilt.
Yep.
Exactly. Thank you.
Well,
you couldn't have said it better.
I hadn't done anything wrong, so I just let it go. But I'll tell you this, and let me see if I can call it up really quick. You want to go and make your point, Varian?
It was just that we were talking about if comics because again we have the guy Art who wants to come on and talk about his name is Art as well. I know a lot of artists named Art. It's weird. That he wants to come on and talk about bringing back the Comics Code Authority, and I was asking Chuck, how does that change his job as an editor? How would that change it at all? And he said, and then I started talking about if we did something self-governing, maybe not even self-governing, but if an organization was formed to govern comics, but I can see it being abused. So like in the 90s when Tipper Gore got really pissed off about video games, and their thing didn't go through, but Joe Lieberman's did, where he called Nintendo and Sega in and said, look, you guys need to police yourselves or we're going to do it.
Oh, I remember
and the ESRB was started, and now they govern them. You send the video game in. Now I'm not sure exactly if you have to pay to send your video game into the ESRB, but I do know I know you have to send footage. But I do know with movies, the MPAA, they require, I believe it's 10% of your budget. Whatever your budget for the movie is, they need 10% or $1,000, I believe it is. So
it's $10. What happened to $10?
Well, no, with the $10 is what you guys were suggesting if whatever your budget is. So if your budget was $10 for a movie, you're still going to get them $1,000.
Yeah, and I think there's also things where it's like the studios, like the big budget studios, they let things slide more. Like if you're a Paramount or a Disney or something, they let more content slide. Versus if you're like an independent studio, they're more harsher on you.
Yeah,
so I wonder
why. Two different things here. Are we talking about like giving a rating to mainstream comics like Marvel and DC and even Image, or are we talking about rating every single tiny little indie comic book that comes out there? You'll never be able to do that.
What he wants to do is rate everybody. He thinks everybody should have a rating.
You can't stop me from what I'm doing in my basement when I pump out a comic book. You know what I mean? Unless if my comic book's hitting Diamond Distribution or some other model where it's in stores or in a Walmart or on a shelf somewhere, our rating may be, applicable then. But just for like some guy making his comic or like Ash Can comic on a Xerox printer, how in the hell are you going to regulate that?
Exactly.
I think they will. I mean, they'll try. Chuck said it will make his job really difficult because now he has to. Randy tells Chuck, "Here's my book. I need to bring this in at the 13-year-old level, 13 and down. Make it happen, Chuck." And Chuck's looking at it like, Randy, you just sent me what would be an NC-17 book, and you want me to? Well, this has to go, and this has to go, and now you and Randy are butting heads because
for some reason I don't think a character named Captain Dildo will ever be family friendly.
And in that case, you just send him blank documents saying, "Here's my edit."
Yeah. Don't do this.
Let me correct my story. It was actually 7 years ago. It was December of 2013 that this went down. Because I remember, the following April, I wanted to do an April Fool's cover for the paper. I wanted to do like a variant cover.
Mm-hmm.
At the
time.
Variant
cover?
No, not a variant cover, a variant cover. And the wife actually talked me down from it because, and it wasn't live adult entertainment, it was live nude entertainment. And the word nude was what really threw her. So this was the cover I was going to run on the paper.
Here we go.
Was it going to be live dude entertainment?
No.
I was going to scroll down a little so you can share. Randy,
I love it.
And you see
so you got like Poochie the dog there. Cool.
The little yellow dog there was a poke back to her in that damn stationery with a crazy little yellow dog that said woof woof.
So you stole her dog.
Oh, I did. I stole her dog.
You monster! John Wick is coming for you.
I used that dog for years after that. I called him Yellow Dog. That's what I called him. I had the Adventures of K-Bear because we had a koala bear as kind of our mascot. So it was the Adventures of K-Bear and Yellow Dog. And Yellow Dog was the only one that spoke.
That's awesome.
And the wife actually talked me out of doing this. It's free because you earned it.
You should have done this.
Live nude entertainment. It would have been epic, but it also would have acknowledged her, and it would have stirred that pot a little heavier.
Yeah, I think you made the right call not putting it up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go from the bottom here.
She is my light and my conscience. I'll tell you that right now.
You chose the right woman clearly.
I'm gonna go from the bottom here. We'll start with Larry.
Uh-oh.
So Lola's writing her first book.
Mm-hmm.
What advice can you give her?
Go to Jim Zub's website and read everything he's got. I'm not even joking. Jim Zub has got a ton of tutorials for newbie and advanced writers. Everything from plotting your script to character profiles to formatting. It's all there. Jim Zub's website is an invaluable resource. Start with that.
I will check it out.
Don't say check it out. Go to it and look at it.
Go
Once you
to
start
it.
going through it, you'll be like, oh, damn, he's right. You know,
Thank you for the advice.
not a problem.
Now it's turn. It's Nick's turn.
To give you advice. All right.
Yes.
Consume as much media as you can. Read anything you can get your hands on. Watch everything you can get your hands on. Listen, play. Consume as much media as you can. The more you expose yourself to different types of storytelling, different types of writers, the more you'll be. You know, and just because you're a comic book writer, don't let your influence just be comic book writers, because it becomes kind of incestuous that way. Be influenced by Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe. Hell, if there's a erotica writer on Literotica you enjoy, be influenced by them. It's whatever brings joy to your writing, and write often and write well.
Simmons in
There's
the
no
house.
substitute
Hey,
for.
Sim. Go ahead.
God
Nick, I'm
damn it,
sorry, I
Rob!
didn't
What
mean
did
to
we
step
do this time?
I don't. He's not able to have his maple syrup, so he's going through withdrawals.
Blame Canada.
Well, yeah, when in doubt.
My computer is lagging.
Simmons in the house. Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hey,
Sim.
Simeon!
Thing.
You're always welcome,
said-
buddy, and you're welcome on the air anytime you want to come on. Also, just let us know.
Yeah, I'll drop out if someone else wants to come
I'm
on.
sure Varian won't mind.
Yeah, same
No,
here.
you're good. There's nobody in the green room right now.
There's no one waiting right now. You guys are good.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I said my piece. It's Chuck's turn now.
Chuck's turn.
Yep. Chuck, what do you got for me?
Okay, first off, bring your editor in as early as you possibly can. That's a huge deal. It will help you way more than you can possibly even imagine. The other thing is outline everything. Have an outline for that first issue as to what you want to happen in it, and then outline the either arc or graphic novel or whatever that it's going to become. That stuff is really important so that you can see where you are, where you want to go, and then you're always keeping that end point and the other plot points that are coming up in mind as you're jumping. It doesn't feel like you have an empty page when you do that. You're jumping basically from like one lily pad to another to another. So I think outlining is huge, and too few people do it.
Yeah, when I was writing, I wrote a 5-issue miniseries recently, and I wrote out all the main plot points, and that was a really great a tool to me when I was doing it, because the worst I'd have to do is like, okay, I have this plot point, plot point. How am I going to get between it? And that's that's a lot easier to do than just be like, what am I going to do? And sometimes I was like, wait, what am I going to do now? And then I look like, oh, it's this plot point. So it's like, yeah, it is. I agree with Chuck. Outlining is literally a godsend.
I'll tell you one other thing,
Yeah,
Lola,
my book
before
is gonna
I
be
chime
like
out.
100 to 150 pages.
Some people write their ending first, and then they work towards that.
That's not a bad idea.
That's what I do with Niobe. I always write how the book ends, and then I figure out how I'm going to get there. But once you know how it
I'm
ends,
actually not a fan of that,
how come?
because then you're stuck with that ending.
No, you can always
Whereas-
change it if you don't like it. I mean, that's the great thing about writing.
And I get that, but what you're doing is that like even in your head, you're sticking yourself to that finish rather than maybe allowing it to gestate and evolve to get to it. So I'm okay with writing an ending, but you need to understand when you write it ahead of time that that's not necessarily the ending.
Well, it works real good when you're doing a murder mystery.
Yeah.
So I'm always reminded of this one thing. I think it was George R. R. Martin said this. There are two extremes when it comes to writers. there's the gardener, and then there's the architect. The gardener is the one that plants the seed, and then they let it grow. Like they'll tend to the plant, like pruning stuff here, but largely consider the seed to be the idea, and they let the story grow and grow. Where the architect is the one that plans everything about the building, down to blah blah blah. I mean, it's a spectrum. It's not people aren't gardeners or architects. They're kind of like one way or the other. Now me, I think I kind of lean more towards gardener, but I do have a lot of architect in me.
Careful.
Because the problem with being a gardener is, well, look at George R. R. Martin. He's very much a gardener kind of thing, and he has like 15 billion different plot lines, and he doesn't know how to end any of them. I come a lot from author world, so that's kind of where my perspective lies.
I don't know if Simon. Hey, man, I'm sorry I was indisposed when you came into the chat. I missed you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Are you? Did everyone tell you what book to read, or what advice to give you books, or where were we at?
Besides Randy.
Okay, Randy. Oh, it should be. Let me see. Simon says it should be a direction that is still malleable to leave you freedom of organic growth for the characters and story.
Was that a Dirk Manning book?
Oh Lord.
I have no idea what you're talking about. This book, that's probably yes. That was probably that book.
Would you would you suggest maybe I know I told her Understanding Comics. She looked at it. She said this is boring. I gave her the DC Guide to Writing Comics.
I like that one.
Yeah, just trying to give her some good advice about what book.
I'll tell you what book I started with. It was Stan Lee's How to Write Comics the Marvel Way, and it's a very and I'm not talking about the stupid video he did with John Buscema or the art. He actually has a book about writing, and it's How to Write Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee, and it gives you the basic breakdown of how to write either a full plot or the Marvel plot style of scripts, right?
Mm-hmm. The Stan Lee way, basically.
Yeah, and it's a very basic book, but it was like how I wrote Niobe #1, by reading that book.
Listen up, true believer. First Stanley rule of writing is know what Joe Simon takes on his sandwich.
How many sugars in his coffee?
You've read my script so far.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it?
I think your script is. I like it. I think that I'm just about to say I like it, right? Either way.
I've been asking you for honest opinion.
But my honest opinion of it is that I think there's a lot of stuff that there's some elements in there that I think need further expansion, and we talked about that. And I said, when you start. I know you've been writing pages in your notebook and then you transfer those, you type them out. And I'm like, look, when you type those pages out, I think you need to add this and add that. Some characterization. Right now, the female character in there is totally an unlikable bitch. And I know you wrote her that way, but I can't even understand how she has cupped her husband that hard at this point. What is she? Dude, you got to stand to a T, bro. Yeah. What does he even see in her besides that she's hot? She's a total B word, and
how hot is she? I might be able to live with it.
Yeah.
Another thing I recommend doing.
You won't get past the border now. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're gonna close them SOBs here anyhow.
His is already closed.
Yeah, no, they've already closed it. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
one thing I recommend.
I've been out of touch with the news for a couple hours, so.
What do you think you recommend it?
Go ahead.
There's a lot of really good YouTube content on writing. Like a lot of really good stuff, like Lessons from a Screenplay, Nerd Writer. There's this channel called Overly Sarcastic Productions, which does breakdowns of a lot of different story concepts or trope top. Like they talk about magic systems or 5-man band or different kind of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff with anybody can write, very few people can write well. That's kind of the thing about writing. I mean, that's true with a lot of things, because there's a lot of things you got to consider, like character arcs, your plot thread, your act structures. I mean, Chuck's nodding. He knows what's up.
Yeah, 100%.
Like for example, I have a novel I'm writing where basically it's supposed to be an inversion of the hero's journey. The Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, where I'm basically telling the story from the mentor's point of view. Like the log line is, imagine Star Wars, but from Obi-Wan's point of view. Basically kind of taking the chosen one and making him a whiny little brat.
Oh, that's kind of Star Wars, isn't it?
Well, hello there.
But an unsufferable whiny little brat.
No,
People will
Anakin
be back and in greater numbers.
Yeah, it's basically kind of just, and it's just kind of interesting because like I'm doing this from the mentor's point of view, and a mentor is always defined by their background, and so I had to come up with a detailed background, and that in of itself kind of informed the story. So it's like just having that kind of switch from chosen one to mentor basically kind of reoriented the whole structure of the story.
Now, Simon says, let's see.
I love that. Simon says.
Yeah.
Sim says, I approach writing a comic like writing a movie script, but with a storyboard at the same time. Since the medium is visual, the visual storytelling should be dominant.
Well, you should be able to read a comic book without reading it. Like, I should be able to go through your comic and just by the art alone get the grasp of the story,
Yeah.
Show it,
a lot of movies need to learn that. Like, show it, don't say it.
You don't
too many
explain
movies
what
are
you
wordy.
can see and no actions.
Show, don't tell, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I don't want to hear that someone is a expert archer. I want to see that they're an expert archer.
That'll work real well in erotic fiction.
What's what she's writing? That's what she's writing. She's writing erotic fiction, basically.
I don't like. So Lola, don't tell us the guy has an 11-inch dong. Show us he has an 11-inch dong.
Does he have to? I mean,
yeah,
I was
the way
hoping.
they showed us the Batwang. You remember that?
Oh, I remember the Batman. Yeah. Okay, so now, Randy, you've been an editor before, right?
Editing is like a drum.
Oh, Randy. You've been and Chuck. I want to ask
that
you guys.
from Heather Antos. I'm never letting it go.
I want to know what
It's like
you got.
beating a drum.
I want to know. Like,
You're driving a slave ship and you're just constantly beating the drum. Boom, boom, boom.
Did she say slave ship?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Would you watch a movie?
I think she did. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But
Would you?
The beating the drum part, that was all her though. So
Well, it really depends on the movie.
She likes beating.
Well, you see, there used to be this thing called silent movies, Rob. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that.
The thing,
I'll take some
I
Buster
love
Keaton
Rob,
any day.
but he's missing the point.
Yeah. What do you
And
think?
in erotic fiction, that doesn't work. You always have to find the point.
What do you think? Like, how does a person figure out? Because I've seen this a few times, and we had a situation a couple of months ago. We talked to somebody who they got shit canned off of their job as an editor for a book.
And in a world of desperate toilet paper searches, getting shit canned can be rather bad.
Yeah. So
I love the alliteration there. Good job.
What happens? How does that happen, guys? I mean, is there a situation where you say you're just not the editor for me? What happens?
What happens to what?
How do you decide our editor is not for you? Chuck, has anyone ever come to you and said you're not the editor for me? I'm sorry.
To me, it's all about the relationship you have. Sorry.
Well,
I've definitely told people I'm not the editor for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know what? The thing is that at the end of the day, you need to trust your editor. You really need to be able to feel like they get what you're talking about. They want the same things for the book that you want, and that even if they make a decision that you're not happy about, you can at least trust that it's the right one and move forward. If you can't have that kind of trust with your editor, it's probably not the right person for you, and you need to look for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
not to get to the lowest common denominator, but in Lola's case, it would all come down to eye contact.
I just want to know who's going to draw
Eye
this
contact
part
and vigorous consent.
Yeah. Larry, you asked who's going to
Married
draw
for
her book?
20 years here.
No,
We're good,
I'm
Lola.
asking, yeah,
We're
like,
good.
what type of artist does she got in mind for this hot,
I
sexy book?
have two artists lined up, actually.
Yeah, she's got 2 artists in mind. She doesn't want. I don't even want to mention the names now.
No, don't throw a name
Yeah,
unless it's a done deal. But
yeah, but she's got 2 artists in mind. One is, in my opinion, one is, okay, that person is cool. The other one is a big get, but of course, Lola's got 2 things working for her that the rest of us don't, which means that even in who might even getting
She
someone
has
in the
two
color
very
for
big
it.
advantages.
Yeah. So it's not me. It's not me. I'm not the artist. So, but she knows if I drew it, it'll be out in 19 years. So,
and that is a conservative estimate.
well,
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
wondering if you have a hard time finding an artist to draw something that they may deem, to be pornographic in nature. That's all.
Well,
There's
Not
artists
necessarily.
that actually focus on that.
Yeah, the artists.
Yeah,
these
there-
artists are artists from that.
There's plenty of
Yeah.
erotic artists out there to get the job done, but there's also
There's some artists who make their living doing commissions of furry porn, so yeah.
Oh,
have
Like
been,
literally that's their living.
have been for the last 30 years.
smile on his face.
No wonder you're so rich, Randy.
Oh no, I ain't rich. No, I don't do that kind of work. So.
what did you say?
Rob and Sim are going. They're talking.
Yes,
Oh.
visual storytelling did the job.
Yeah.
Were they arguing with each other? I
Are
thought
they having a
Rob-
cockfight?
I jumped on the show because I thought Rob was going to be here.
Well, Rob's in the chat. Yeah, but
You want me to go?
no. Stick around. Send Rob a link because you can always throw me out.
He's not in the green room.
No, he's not here. I told Rob he's welcome to come in.
Yeah, you did.
I think he's
No,
enjoying his
he
time.
prefers shit talking from the benches.
Oh snap! Oh snap!
I'm his editor. I'm allowed to talk shit.
Yeah, what did you say?
He and I
Oh,
have
yeah.
fought nicely.
Rob makes a good point.
Yeah.
Sex isn't porn, and porn isn't sexuality.
Well, yeah, but that's perception, and perception is the eye of the beholder, right? I could look at a book and go, "Oh, okay, that's art." My mother can go and look at that book and say, "That's porn."
Well, your mom would be wrong.
Well, again,
And a
art
little
in the eye of the
Victorian.
beholder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think that's the phrase, but yeah, you're on the right track.
Is he coming in? Rob, are you coming in?
I don't know. I put a link in the chat.
Guess it all depends on if Jax is in bed or not. So
Yeah.
I have a book on writing erotic fiction. If you wanted to borrow it, I read it in an afternoon. It was incredibly good.
Did you have to take a shower afterwards?
Oh no. See, oh, there he is. Varian, are you stepping out? Yeah, I guess he did. We're bringing in Mr. Rob Anderson.
And,
A wild indie devil appears.
I'm sorry, shit talk? I didn't hear that from all the way out there.
What?
I figured
Oh,
I
bring
didn't hear it.
We were talking
Oh!
about
Here in-
Round
talk
one,
about
fight.
socialism.
Ding.
So let's see. Tonight we've covered rating comic books and giving them a
You need to be
rating
louder,
system.
Rob.
We've
need to turn
decided
your
that
volume up a
writers
bit,
don't
buddy.
matter. What?
You need to be louder, dude. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm fighting with a little kid. He's more of a challenge than Chuck.
Oh, snap! Damn, bro. That's harsh.
So we're rating comic books now. That's what Canada's bringing us. We want to put a rating system in.
I never.
The guy's not Canadian. What the fuck are you even talking about?
Who's representing Canada here? Me
No,
or
there's
Chuck?
there's
Who's
a
the
guy
Canadian
out there,
idiot?
Rob. There's a guy out there that we're talking about having on the show that wants to bring back the Comics Code Authority. Is that what you heard?
No, yes, but
Yeah.
also Larry said he thought he liked the idea, and I was just picking on Chuck because he had.
Oh, okay.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I see comic books in the shop that have we talked about earlier with the mature label on them, and that
And
way
you
you
said they
know
should
that that's
have to
not
have
for kids. You know what I mean? And without
you
some
said
sort of
they should-
indicator,
They said they should have to have it. That's big words. Have to have it is different than choose to have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
voluntary versus by
do
the
you
barrel
think,
of a gun.
Rob? Do you think movies should have to have ratings or need to have ratings?
I don't think they need to have ratings. I think
I
everyone
disagree.
can get a
I
pick.
absolutely think they need them.
Why? Do you think anyone stops going to Deadpool with their kid because it was rated R? Because trust me,
No,
there
but
are
I think
plenty
it
of
stops
in there.
kids from going to Deadpool because it's rated R.
So, what do you think ratings are going to do? Do you think people are?
I think ratings will help get the books into the right hands of the right readers of the right age gap.
Except for the people who get misrated because someone decides that that's not for a kid.
That's where I agree. That's where kind of I think Rob's kind of hitting the nail on the head with it. Where the ratings themselves, I think most people could agree to ratings. The problem is the problems that a rating system gets is it's too easy for corruption. It could be, oh, we don't like this content, so we're going to force this content on this people. It's you see that with movies, stuff like taste change over time. And just general corruption, and it's too easy for a central body to dictate what happens in comics, and so I think that's kind of my fear, and probably correct me if I'm wrong, Rob's fear as well.
No, that's it. Because I mean, Niobe shows more skin than some of my fetish books does, but mine
only on the cover. Have you ever read an issue of Niobe?
I have. You've given it to me, Larry.
Okay, so you know that there's no sex, no nudity.
No,
he doesn't even kiss someone in the damn book, right?
You show more skin than my character does.
I doubt that, brother. Your character appears nude in your books, bro.
Actually, my character only appears nude once.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you, Larry. Read my book, Larry.
Well, if you do your Kickstarter, I'll be able to chance to read it.
Yeah, I already did it.
I thought you were pulling it.
No, I put up a post asking if I should. And then even Randy said no, let it go. And
Rob corrected that earlier. Me and Randy were talking about it. I think this was before he came in. Rob posted that he actually didn't go through with it. So Rob did actually correct it earlier in the show.
Yeah, Randy gave me a suggestion to just write that I would happily refund anyone who needed it, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's fair.
Because we're all living for those big checks coming in from the government now. So every
drawn by variant, so it will never come out.
Yeah, that's kind of the big reason why I'm still plan on doing my Kickstarter like very early May, because they're supposed to be coming like late April and stuff. So by the time I do my Kickstarter, most people will still have their checks and be like, "Oh, I'll support this guy's Kickstarter."
I was just joking.
And to be fair, my Kickstarter started before this happened. Mm-hmm. That's what threw me.
Right.
Yeah, mine too. Right before, like I'm just in the middle of like fulfilling it now, right? So, as far as people running Kickstarters during this sort of epidemic, I don't know. It's a two-way street. Yes, people want to save money, but some people might want the comic books as an escape. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say.
Yep. Yeah. For me, I'm just going to put it out there, and if people want to spend their hard-earned money. Sorry.
Let me tell you
the same time. He's putting up.
The Canadian government is willing to give us money if we lose our jobs or get laid off, and it's more money than I make at my job. Right? They're willing to give us $900 every 2 weeks for coronavirus. I don't make $900 every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That's insane.
Damn, we're getting ripped off here then.
So we're talking $1,800 a month for sitting it out, staying at home. You know what I mean?
No, they're talking one-time payment here.
No, I heard it was going to be like two-time payments. That's what I heard. Like it was going to be like two. It was going to be $5,000 total, but split in half, and then 2 payments. That's just what I heard. So, yeah, because the thing is, even if we do come out of this like middle of May, the economy's still going to be pretty foobarred. So, we kind of would need a stimulus to a degree.
Man, I was at a hospital today. It was locked down like Fort Knox, dude. Like it was,
No, they're not letting everybody in, but the reason they're doing that is they're trying to protect the medical people.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I got stopped before I even got through the door with 20 questions, like.
Hey, Rob, if people need a stimulus, that you could always just hand out copies of your comic.
See, but that's not funny, Nick, because that's not what my book is, and that's what everyone does. And that's the problem me and Lola face, is that everyone wants to make a shortcut joke about what we're creating, but we're actually creating stories that are about humans. But we always want to shit on people for being sexual in any way, shape, or form. And that's not the right way forward. Not to say there aren't cheap comics, but Lola's told me some of the ideas she's had, and I think they're pretty good, and they're important to have that discussion. And
I mean, I wasn't. That joke wasn't meant to demean you. If it did, I apologize.
You're fine, but that's the whole thing. The minute you put a tag like adult on it, everyone thinks it's a joke. And that's
yeah, but the
problem
minute you
with
don't rate
ratings.
it, what if some 8-year-old does get a hold of it? Like, what if the cover is
Larry, where do you
misleading?
think my books are that they can randomly wind up in an 8-year-old's hand?
Well, I think you go to cons and they're on your table, aren't they?
And anyone who's looked at a picture of my table knows that I keep it out of the reach of an 8-year-old.
Yeah, I've been at his table.
So, Larry, again, if we're going to talk about it, at least let's be honest about it and start by asking, how would a kid get a hand on it?
Well, we're just talking conversations. I don't sit by you at a con. How in the hell am I supposed to know?
No, but it's the wording. Everyone always says, "Oh, well, how's a kid? What if a kid gets your hand on your comic?" My comics aren't in the place a kid can grab them. That's deliberate, because I actually thought about it because I'm grown, and because I'm grown, I know those decisions have to be made. And me and Chuck have talked about how to handle his book too, because he has my books at his table.
So, for me, I'll because I do have the sexy covers, I'll get parents asking me what's inside the book, and is it all right for their kid? And I'll have to ask them. I go, well, how old's your kid, right? And if I had a rating on my book, which maybe I should do, I could avoid those questions. If I had like for 14 and up or 16 and up, then mommy wouldn't have to worry if like 12-year-old Johnny should be reading Niobe or not. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing is, there's nothing stopping any of us indie creators from putting ratings on our books. There's nothing stopping us from voluntarily rating our books for certain content. There's nothing stopping any of us. So if we feel like our books need to be rated, then rate your books. It's no big deal. That's I think that's basically probably the solution that needs to happen.
I had a woman who wanted to pick up my book Belial for her kid, and I was like, I don't know how old's your kid? And she's like, oh, he's 14. I said, you know what? Why don't you flip through? There's a nipple on page 7. Tell me what you think. And she flipped through, and she's like, oh, I don't care. He's good. All right, that's on you, lady. You're the parent.
I mean, the parent approves that that's the end of the story.
There's a nipple on page 7. There you go. It's there.
I mean, that's kind of the short of it. If the parent knows what they're getting into and they approve of it, then it's on them.
Now, I think, like I said before, it's going to be impossible to rate indie comic books because they're indie, right? But if you're talking about rating Marvel and DC and Image, the mainstream stuff, that's a little different,
Well, what I'm saying is each individual indie creator, they basically rate it themselves, because your book's better than anyone else. So, for example, Project Access, if I were to say an age rating, I'd say 14 plus. There's some violence in it, some mild cursing here and there, but I intentionally try to make it a PG-13 level book. So that's the rating I'd assign Project Access. You would assign maybe a different rating for your book, blah blah blah, and that's fine. And so I feel like the people who feel like there should be ratings should just put a rating on their book, and just that's probably the best solution we have right now.
And I don't even think ratings need to be like this strict guideline where you have to follow these 100 rules or anything. I think it just should be just a guideline,
Varian, did you want to come back in? Give me a thumbs up in the green room if you do.
I'm good right now.
All right, because I can step out.
I'm controlling the board.
Okay.
Let me ask
Yeah, I can't control the board because it froze on my end.
I have control of the board.
Varian is our own little dozer from the Matrix.
Rob wants to speak. What are you trying to say, Rob?
Okay, Larry, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to ask Larry. Hey, Jack. I'm going to ask Larry, and then I'm going to ask Chuck. What would you rate my book not have rating? If you
not reading it?
What would your rating and your rating system make
adult.
My book? But adult, we weren't talking adults. We were talking the ratings of a movie, weren't we?
Okay, so I mean, R-rated then maybe. But
I haven't read rating it. Starts at 17, but the legal age of adulthood is 18.
Okay, so Chuck, what would you rate my book?
And so I don't know the ratings that well, but I would say it's you see sex, you see NC-17, huh?
You see sex?
Not penetration, but you see the act of getting at it, yeah.
Well, they have that in PG-13 movies.
Yeah.
I know, but you're
on television. Have you seen Riverdale? Sorry.
You're seeing nudity in the first issue. Okay. So because of that, I would say an NC-17.
Just for nudity?
Well, do you have swearing?
What's that?
Do you have swearing?
Very mild. You have
Because
Ray
that
Murphy
matters
for
as
life.
well. Yeah. See, again, I don't know I don't give a for 2 seconds. Fuck ratings. I fucking hate ratings, and that's why I don't want to fucking rate your fucking book. All right.
Because the thing is,
Fuck
if
it.
we're talking about an R rating, there's full frontal female. Like you can have 13 fully frontal nude female women in a movie. It used to be that if you showed a cock, you get NC-17, but that's kind of starting to be relaxed a little bit. But even now, like male nudity is honestly more risque than female nudity, and that's just kind of bullshit in my opinion.
I just want to say the Batwang again.
You keep coming to that. I mean, do you have something you need to tell us?
Rating.
Well, I'm
Lola,
wondering, did they even give that book a rating? The Batman Batawang book, because aren't those like black books meant to be for adults, right?
Yeah, they were. I
believe
think
it
that was
ran
kind of a statement.
I do believe it ran an adults only label.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Batwing was kind of like a statement of like, hey, we're adult now.
And Lola, what would you rate my book? 'Cause I know you wrote it. I read it.
I don't like ratings, but I would definitely say it's 16 and up.
And see, that's the problem with ratings. No one can agree right away. And some of them have read it, some of them haven't. And that's why I'm with Chuck. Fuck ratings.
Well,
Yeah,
no one's going to
that's
ever
kind of the
agree on
reason.
anything 100%, though, dude. Like, that's why you have a committee and you come up with some guidelines,
See,
right?
committee. There it
The
is.
sky is baby blue. Fight me.
So, I mean, like, you're expecting the whole world to agree on a universal system. Fuck, that's never going to happen, dude. Like,
I want the whole world to not do anything and leave me alone and let me create my comics.
well, I mean,
Free
you're an indie
blowjobs
book,
for everyone.
no problem. But I mean, the minute you start becoming mainstream and on comic book shelves, that might change, brother.
Not really. They have adult books that don't name themselves. They're called manga.
Manga, yeah. But the problem is manga is basically the Japanese comic industry. Like you have, yes. By the way, the word you're thinking of is hentai. By the way, manga is basically just like the Japanese comic book industry. That's a whole nother separate thing of itself.
Yeah,
Like
but none
manga,
of them use rating. Nick, they don't rate their books at all. I know what you're talking about. To the point which they don't rate at all.
Randy's quiet. Let's get his opinion, since he does have an adult book too.
Randy's drawing and just listening. That's all.
Yes, he's enjoying the
Look, come
shenanigans
on.
he has created.
I called you out for having an adult book.
I didn't hear you.
I called you out for having an adult book.
You did. Shame on
You know, if you want to think about it, since we're all adults and we're creating books, aren't these all adult books?
What do you want? What do you want to know? How I feel
How
about
much
the
would
rating-
what Chuck-
how I
what
feel
Chuck
about the
would?
rating system, if it sells
Yeah.
more comics and it can aid a parent in corporate world, absolutely. When it comes to alternative and independent comics, it's up to the creator to decide if they want the angry mom mob or not. Or two, most alternative and independent comics are assumed to be adult anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that is true.
So you would
Kind
have
of hit
to
on the
be-
nail on the head there.
You would have to be a corporate entity, maybe even as huge as Valiant, before you would have to worry about labeling your product. And if you're out in the world and you're being seen by different people, you definitely want to give some sort of a indication as to what the product is. But again, independent and alternative comics are always looked at as being
More mature.
made for mature audiences. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And PG-13 or higher.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
It's true. You make a point. I mean, and when they're not, they usually stress it. This is an all ages book, right?
Or they're printed by Scholastic. You know.
Scholastic's not necessarily indie, but yeah.
No, they're not. But I don't know how much of I keep saying this over and over again. I don't know how much of the market Scholastic is either, because Scholastic doesn't release their numbers.
Yeah,
So
and Scholastic kind of has a weird kind of position in the market where it's like they do the book fairs and whatnot.
They can be printing thousands and selling tens, and we wouldn't know.
Yeah. It's kind of like how everyone discounts Archie until they look at their sales numbers.
Well, I keep a look at our local box store on the Scholastic product, and it doesn't seem to move. So they're either replacing it really well and staying on top of their stock incredibly well, or it's not moving. I walk into Barnes and Nobles, I see 2 freaking rows of stupid manga books. And pardon me, that was just an expression. Some mangas are incredibly good. Most of it is, I consider it to be pretty inane. And they never move either, but they're always there, and they're in huge abundance.
Well, the thing from what I hear is like manga's really hot right now. Like manga is really kind of the big ticket in the.
And Scholastic swears that they're 30% of the market, but how much are they really moving?
Well, manga's really hot right now with the younger audience because they're a Netflix audience, right? And so they're so used to watching anime on Netflix now.
Manga was hot back long before Netflix. Manga.
No, well, I mean, I talked to some young kids, like in their 20s, and I said, "What got you into reading manga?" And
you know why
they all told me it was because we were watching.
Manga really took off in the 2000s. Like it existed in the 90s, but it really took off in the 2000s.
You know why manga is so hot in North America? You want to know why manga is so hot, even though you have to read the freaking book in reverse?
Yeah, I tried it. I can't do it.
I can't either.
It's not that hard.
And I blame a lot of dyslexia and reading problems in the schools because of it. The reason manga is hot right now, especially in a female audience, your products like Fruit Baskets and My Hero Academia and all that, is because Marvel and DC ignored that fucking audience for 30 years. And they went out and found something else that they can be entertained by.
I mean, Yaoi. Why do you think Yaoi's so popular?
That's the only reason those books are hot.
Look, I can tell you that 30 years ago, the chicks I knew would never read that stuff. They would have looked at that as nerd shit and would have walked right the fuck away from you.
Not manga. Nope.
I'm 32 years old, so I was in high school in the early 2000s, and I went to middle school in the late 90s. Even when I was in middle school, there was a lot of anime girls. And when I was in high school, this is early 2000s, I'm talking like 2002 to 2006 when I graduated. There was a lot of anime girls that loved their anime, that loved their manga, and like they didn't even touch like the Marvel shit because it didn't cater to them.
Marvel from the 80s, right? So when I went to school, if you wore a Batman shirt, you got the hell kicked out of you. Let alone talk about any sort of anime. We had to trade our VCR tapes to dub anime. It was so underground back then that no one even knew what the hell it was unless they were watching Astro Boy or Voltron or something.
See, the internet is really kind of brought the popularity to anime because when the internet became like high speed, you started to see a lot of the fan subs become popular. See, that's kind of the culture that I grew up is fan subs. You basically download the stuff from the internet, and then that's how a lot of people got into anime. Before that, it was like whatever programming block was on, like Anime Unleashed, Tech TV Anime Unleashed, whatever Cartoon Network had signed. But then when you started to get the fan subs in, that's what like the torrent generation, like the LimeWires. That's what really kind of brought anime really into the stratosphere, and that's again early 2000s.
Ranma 1/2. Ranma 1/2 and Fruits Baskets, what really kicked up the audience.
And the stuff with Tokyo Pop.
Audience.
Well, you got to give some credit to Sailor Moon Pop too, right?
That's very true too. Sailor Moon might have actually been the start of it for a female audience, but it attracted the female audience. The reason it was there though is because Marvel and DC ignored females for decades.
What's funny is that they're trying to fix that problem and no one cares.
Well, you know what I mean? Marvel Rising had come out back in 2000 and was written competently. There's a double, what ifs. Marvel would be a hell of a lot farther along as a company right now, for one, and for two, the female audience would be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
If Squirrel Girl had come out in 2000, it would have been, or even 1990s. It would have been a different audience.
And nowadays you see, like, did you ever read the Raven?
Back then, the only thing Marvel and DC wanted to do for the female audience, because the only thing that they could perceive the female audience reading were really horribly done romance books. It took Gaiman to come out for years with Sandman, and for DC to do conventions, which they don't do anymore, to go, there's women out there actually reading Sandman and Star Trek. Who knew?
Yeah.
And ElfQuest.
I want to say something. That little comment there, manga tells better stories, is so fucking ignorant. And I'm sorry, man. I'm sure you're a nice person, but the fact of the matter is, I've seen amazing manga stories, and I've seen amazing American comic stories, and to pick one over the other and say that they're doing things better is just so fucking ignorant. Sorry, I had to say it.
Allow me to play devil's advocate here for a second. For me, it's not necessarily that they're better. It's that for a lot of people, in a lot of people's eyes, they're fresh. Because kind of superhero comics has kind of gotten stale over the past 10, 15 years or so.
You still have to read them in reverse.
It's still a pain in the ass.
Well, for people like me, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but you're probably younger generation, bud. There's a huge difference.
I'm 32 years old, so I'm kind of...
That means you're a millennial. There's a huge difference.
Where's your bookshelf?
My bookshelf?
What's that?
Where's your bookshelf?
It's put up in storage because I don't have shelves.
Okay, well, that explains a lot. That your reading capabilities are probably severely hindered because you've been reading books backwards for too long.
I'll have you know, I'm actually in the 98th percentile.
Nick,
of
I don't mean it. I'm just saying that's the way it is. Your age doesn't read as much.
I grew up on novels,
and you've become severely hindered because you're reading manga from back to front.
You're making assumptions. I grew up on novels. Okay. I asked my mother. She'll tell you I used to read 2 or 3 novels at the same time.
I've seen it through the schools, man. I've seen it through the schools. I teach cartooning after school. That's part of the problem. All of this stuff.
I can regularly read books.
All of this stuff should have been made to conform. There's some beautiful, fantastic mangas out there. Some really deep stories. Some really phenomenal art, and they are hindering themselves greatly.
Yeah, could you imagine,
as well as our audience and the American readership by having to go from back to front?
Could you imagine mangas are actually written the correct American way? How better they?
No, that's because Japanese kanji.
They won't allow their art to be flipped. That's the problem.
Because Japanese
art would have to be flipped so that it could be read left to right.
Yeah, because Japanese kanji is written in the opposite way, and so basically, like you said, the flip, they'd have to flip it, and they say kind of it ruined the intention of their art, which I can kind of see why.
Yeah, but if they want to reach to a different audience, you have to adjust. Don't you think?
Not when they understand composition. And
they are reaching an audience,
and the way the American audience reads the books.
Sure, but think about how many people don't want to read a book backwards, though, right?
Exactly.
And if you could put out a version of that book that's actually normal to the average Westerner.
Well, if people didn't want to read the book backwards, then manga wouldn't be a big thing.
It's actually an Eastern elitist decision.
I'm never going to read a backwards book.
By the artist.
They don't have to. They don't have to. I mean, it's your choice.
Right. So, but that's a lost sale for that particular book. It could be a great book.
Okay, they got plenty more to make it up. It's
bingo.
And manga is a popular thing. If you don't like it, that's fine.
And it's probably an awesome thing that it's not, because if it was left to right, up to down, front to back, the manga audience right now would be myriads time bigger than what it is now in America. And Marvel and DC would have been trashed probably a decade and a half to 2 decades ago.
So that only makes my point. It means more money. That's what it's all about, right?
Oh, you would think
so. Not necessarily all about the money.
Instead,
you're in the wrong business. You know what I mean? Like,
we're looking at an Eastern elitist philosophy, and they won't allow the artwork to be flopped.
I get that. They do their things their way.
Yeah.
But, if you were sitting there in the corporate office and go, hey, if we can double our money, why wouldn't you?
Well, they don't care, because the American audience is minuscule compared to the audience reading manga.
But you can have an American company pump out manga. Doesn't have to be a Japanese company.
There is American manga. There is. There are people who are making
plenty,
like Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Well, Please don't use Scott Pilgrim as an example, because that book is horrible and very scary.
And it got turned into a very good movie.
No, don't use that as an example either, because somebody out there liked that property and turned it into a film. That doesn't mean that it's quality material.
Let's see what Varian's saying. Manga creators don't have to worry about offending and make-believe audience like we do here in the States and Canada.
Yeah.
Marvel and DC ain't worried about a make-believe audience now anyway.
Oh, they are. Their sales are tanking.
Look at their sales. They don't care about their audience. They're doing their agenda.
I mean,
they cared about the audience and it screwed them over.
You mean I shouldn't run out and buy the newest issue, New Warriors, with Snowflake and what was the fucking other character's name? Safe Space? You sure I shouldn't get that?
Are you saying I shouldn't buy the fifth first edition, the fifth #1 issue of Captain Marvel, the fifth time they've relaunched the series in 2 years?
Yeah. You know,
if you're into that, if you're into that kind of material, there's probably an audience out there, but it's an audience that's incredibly minuscule compared to the audience that they are literally pissing on, Marvel and DC, because you can see that every time there's a decent crowdfunding campaign out there.
Oh,
and how people make the money that they're making.
I like to make frogs. Yeah.
Yeah, Ethan Van Shriver. Look at the stuff that really pissed them off.
Hey man, his Cyber Frog 2 is almost at $400,000 now.
Almost.
And he's earned every dollar.
And they say he's not going to break $500,000 though.
But he probably will break $500,000.
Oh, he'll get close to 3/4 when he's
watch. I'm going to say this right now. The first indie comic to break $1 million is going to be a Comic Skater. I'm calling it.
Well,
right
he already
now.
broke $1 million.
You're too late. You're too late.
Yeah, that's done.
That's done.
Oh well, then I'm wrong.
It's done. Cyber Frog, Blood Honey broke $1 million.
Yeah, if you count all the countless campaigns he ran for the same book, it overs $1 million. But even Doug Tenaple came very close to $1 million with was it Bigfoot Bill, right?
Nope. With,
what about
Earthworm Jim? Sorry,
Earthworm Jim, and that was a one-time.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Earthworm Jim is established property, so that probably helped.
He won't get close to that again. You go back.
What about Lawbreakers or Jawbreakers, or whatever it was?
Jawbreakers has been high.
Yeah.
He will what? Sim? He will break $1 million, or he will
break 500K.
I'm way behind.
I think he's already at 400K. How long does he have left in his campaign?
Oh, he just started it, man.
He just started.
He's gonna break 500K. He's gonna break it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, Lola.
All of the naysayers out there said that he was done, and that the first issue was nothing but a flash in the pan.
Hey, Lola.
What's up?
Fuck these guys. Tell us more about your book.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not saying much about it right now.
Well, hold on, Lola, for 1 second. We do got a question for the radio show.
Why are
Indie
comics? Yep. Why are indie comics not pushing the envelope on what's allowed in comics? You guys used to have balls. Now you're all trying to follow fucking Marvel, Craig.
That's not even.
That's
far from the truth, my friend. I mean, we're just having a debate, but I don't think any of us really are going to turn around and start rating all our books and shit.
I was going to say that's an awesome point, Craig.
You know,
I think it's kind of like what we talked about earlier about creativity versus making money. Like we all like to believe that we want to find the intersection of creativity and making money. The happy middle ground. But the fact of the matter is, if we want to do this, we need to make money. So we're going to cater ourselves to what makes money.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. We can talk about this or that all we want, but at the end of the day, we're going to do what makes us the most money.
All right. Well,
now we're way off topic. Let's go back to Lola.
Oh, that's okay. It was interesting.
The floor is yours now, Lola. Now you're all silent and stuff.
I know, right? You put the spotlight on me.
Oh,
you're welcome.
But I'm not saying much about my book.
Rob left.
It's kind of he left. He got mad.
Did he?
Aww.
Oh well.
Did he leave?
No, he probably. Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's probably switching. Yeah, there we go.
Did he come back?
Rob, sorry to chase you off, buddy.
No, I wasn't chased off. When they started talking about indie comics, I didn't care because I write underground.
I can tell you about
there you
it.
Go. That's it exactly.
Secretively, but I'm not gonna tell. I don't want to tell everybody about it yet.
No, don't.
So if you want to know a little bit about it, you can message me.
That's fine.
Well,
do you have a pitch that you could give?
Well, I thought it was, what was it? Something meets Saw.
That was Varian's pitch. I want to hear from the woman. It's her book. I want to hear what she has to say.
Varian needs to stop mansplaining.
Let the woman speak.
Yeah.
He always speaks for me. It's fine.
Mansplaining, Varian. Mansplaining.
He's not on.
I'm trying to figure out a way to put it without giving away too much.
You don't have to
detail.
tell anybody about it if you don't want to.
No, certainly.
It's fine.
Let me get back to you on it because I don't want to give away too many details yet.
Don't give it away. That's fine.
Give it away. Give it away.
Keep
give
it
it
to
away.
yourself.
Get away now. Get away.
Let it stew. My advice, my writing advice to you is that there's a lot of places out there that you can read about how to write. There's a lot of places out there that'll tell you proper grammar. There's a lot of places out there that have meaningless thoughts about writing philosophy. In the end, you need to tell a story, especially when writing erotic fiction. You need to tell a story that that you are interested in, one that excites you. And remember that you're doing a journey. You're not just telling an episode. You're not just showing a scene. So your characters, by the time they go from point A to point B, there should be a change. Whether it's a main character change, whether it's a small change, whether it's an important change, a life-changing change, whatever, there needs to be an evolution from point A to point B, because that's how you're going to keep your reader engaged.
The main character that begins a book should not be the same character that ends a book.
And the other advice I would give you is to get up in front of a mirror and recite all of your dialogue.
Oh, that helps so much, saying it out loud.
Because if it doesn't sound right to you when you say it out of your mouth, especially if you can act your characters out, you know the types of the personality of the character that you're doing. If that dialogue does not sound right or come out of your mouth right, it's probably not right.
Okay.
And it needs to sound right when you speak it. Unless
Harrison Ford,
unless they're Ben and they're thinking, crazy thoughts.
Harrison Ford from Star Wars would often criticize George Lucas's scripts, right? He would say, you can write this stuff, but you can't say it,
Yeah.
And George Lucas would say, faster and more intense.
That was very much the problem on Next Generation as well. They were doing all the science babble, and they were having a hard time wrapping their tongue around the words. So
I think Carrie Fisher had something to say about it as well. Like, she said it in better words, though.
Medical dramas are the same way. The doctors have to know what something is in order for them to be able to speak it with any type of, or the actors need to know what the medical jargon is before they can really speak it as if they know it.
Yeah.
They need to know
it. Yeah.
I think I'm doing okay, but
please, come on. Jim Higgins making comics.
No relation to Larry Higgins, by the way.
What about Kyle Higgins?
I don't know Kyle. He ain't a
it's only $350.
Only? That's a bargain of a century.
Well, this was a 3-hour course for $350 American. That's like $1,000 Canadian.
Yeah. You can get a
I didn't know the Canadian dollar had sunk so low. Wow, I'm actually feel bad.
You can get a master class in writing by Neil Gaiman for $100.
Oh, that's actually a bargain.
Here's my question: who in the hell is Jim Higgins?
Yeah, but it's not a great course.
Oh, you haven't watched what is that program?
I have friends who've gone through it. It's not a terrific course.
What was the program, Varian, on is it on Amazon Prime?
Yes, called Crafting Comics.
Crafting Comics, Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Well, we should start running episodes with our critiques. that actually might be really entertaining. We'd probably get copyright struck because they'd be pissed at how we critiqued it. But
oh yeah, they'd be jealous.
Simon says there is no specific way to write. You need to find your own voice and way of telling a story.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different system.
With my story, there's some actual real things that happened in my life that I put into there to try to get it out.
Yeah,
instead of keeping it in.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good way of doing it.
So it's kind of personal in a way for me. It's just a way to vent and tell my story to an extent.
I mean, that's one of the golden rules of writing: is write what you know, right? So
it is. Yeah, it is.
Nick, it bothers me that you don't have a bookshelf, and that you're a writer.
You want to buy me some shelving? I have books that I can put on it.
Dude, you can get them at just start scouting the yard.
I'm poor as dirt.
There's people out there that are going to be selling bookshelves incredibly cheap now. I think we're going to see yard sales spring up any time now.
There's all the books you need.
There you go. I'm not going to give you a tour of my basement, but both Lola and Varian can attest to my collection.
Oh yeah.
I shall be right back. I have.
He's gonna go get his bookshelf.
He's gonna go get his bookshelf.
Chuck, there's a question for you.
Where's my $350 masterclass?
Yes.
It's called Life, people.
But send me your $350 anyway. I'm sure you'll learn a lesson.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, and I'm not demeaning Neil Gaiman. I honestly didn't take the masterclass. A buddy of mine did.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
But he said that for comics there wasn't as near as much as there was for like novels and stuff, but also a lot of it was kind of stuff that we've already learned by other books that we've read. It wasn't really getting into Neil Gaiman's head, and it was a little disappointing where that was concerned.
You know, what's interesting. You read a lot of comics. It's almost instinct. You went through that?
Right?
A buddy of mine went through it.
Yeah, he said it was kind of ordinary.
Yeah, he said there wasn't really a lot special, and he's a huge Gaiman fan, so he was hoping for some kind of special, piece of knowledge. And he's like, I didn't really get that. It was nice and enjoyable to feel like I'm kind of already doing the right stuff, but I mean, then what's the difference between what he's doing and what we're doing? You know what I mean? So it's frustrating.
Look, I was right. He got his bookshelf.
I was right.
Here we go.
How big's your dick?
Let's not compare collections, buddy. I got you beat.
How many long boxes you got, Randy?
Oh, dude. You want to know, honestly, I probably have 6 long boxes.
I got 12. I got you beat.
Fuck you, Randy. Fuck you.
No. There's a reason, though. There's a reason I only have about 6 long boxes.
Sold the rest?
Let me see if I really want to swing the camera out that way. But
Speaking of swinging, there's dick swinging all over the place.
Yeah,
is there a way to bring Nick full screen? I want to see what he's got here.
We can swing it. It's nothing before 1990.
Oh yeah, put me on full screen. I can do show and tell.
Show and tell. Look, we're raking it in.
Oh, a bunch of angry hoes.
All right. This is like my favorite book series of all time.
Okay.
Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. There's 14 of these books.
I just want to know one thing real quick. Am I required to read all these books we're about to watch, or is
No.
I'm just proving a point.
My daughter's got that book. That's awesome.
This one?
Yeah.
This one?
It's a good book.
Yeah, I got it. Iliad.
The classics.
I did pick
Anyway, we got the idea, Nick. You got a tub of books. It's cool.
Nick, stop throwing the
I'm
books
sorry.
on the floor.
I apologize. Stop throwing the books around. You're hurting them, Nick. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, by the way, this is a really underrated story. So,
well, we all have our.
I want to play show and tell now.
Dick measured. We all have our guilty pleasures.
We can all have a round of show and tell.
Don't show me that book, dude.
And then I'm going to cut it.
Yeah. I did buy Dog Eaters from
Everyone throw away your dirt.
Dog Eaters.
Cool. I have no idea what's about, but I'm big fans of Antarctic Rags, Punchline, Ben Dunn, Ninja High
Varian's
School.
got a question. One second.
I have a question. Earlier today, I was on a message board. You guys remember what those were, right? And a guy said, if you're talking about best indie comic companies, and a guy said Aftershock is an awesome indie company, and like 4 people said Aftershock is not an indie company.
Yeah.
The best indie company is the Phoenix Press, hands down.
Well, here's the theory. Some people don't think that if you're in a comic shop, you're an indie company, right? Because you're in comic shops, right? So you're nationwide. I don't look at like a lot of these companies as indie companies, like Antarctic Press. I look at them as like mainstream comics because they're in comic shops. If I can go to my local shop and buy Brian Ball's Rags book in my little nowhere town in Canada, that's pretty damn cool. What are we doing?
So Aftershock is not indie?
No. Neither's Valiant. It's all corporate.
What are you doing?
Even Scout. I would.
They
think
just
would be
released
indie.
Bloodshot, a Valiant comic character that has Vin Diesel in it. I'm sorry, but you're not. They're not indie.
That doesn't have Valiant comics anywhere. Stop,
But Bloodshot is a Valiant character.
Stop with the sign language, Rob.
That movie's gonna fail. By the way, it came out last week. Movies at theaters are closed.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
That's what Larry said. He did this at least. It either came out 2 weeks ago or he's saying peace.
No, I'm saying peace, man.
Peace, man.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah. Bloodshot, the movie came out, and it's
Bloodshot is very recent.
Hey, I was letting everybody do their show and tell. Chuck, do you have any show and tell?
You have anything for show and tell, Chuck?
I was showing like Spider-Woman, and Randy was just shaking his head no.
I just tried to keep them laughing, Larry. It's okay. I'm sorry.
But beautiful J. Scott Campbell cover. I'm a big, huge J. Scott Campbell fan.
Oh, no. Oh, okay.
So am
got you.
I.
The art is nice.
Yes.
The art is great.
I have no idea what the
I love
story's
J.
like.
Scott.
I mean, I haven't read it, so.
There we go. Super Dad, or it's Cat Dad and Super Mom.
Chuck, what do you got?
This is mostly just Kickstarter stuff that I got over the last,
Cool.
couple weeks.
Awesome.
Wow, man.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Let me tell you something. There's a guy that I befriended on Facebook many moons ago, James E. Roche, and he had a book called Wretches, right?
Wretches?
And I started the first.
Lola.
I go to the comic shop.
Yes.
Oh, and I find Wretches 2 and 3 in my comic shop.
Uh-huh.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Awesome.
Cat Dad and Super Mom, Rob is showing.
Rob's posing with his book.
I highly recommend this book. I know it's not like comic book writing, but this is like a really good book on like screenwriting and just writing in general. Like this is a really good book, and it's taught me a lot. So I recommend you get this book.
Cool.
This is another recent pickup of mine. The newest heavy metal.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that on the stands. I almost picked it up.
Yeah,
Rob showing something else. Show and tell is almost over, class.
Oh no.
We have to end the session for the day.
I should do a Zim Geek video. I'd have to clean my basement up first and take you on a visual tour of my.
If we're showing our own books, God damn it! There we go.
There we go.
Randy, where can you be found?
There we go. Everyone, show your book.
No, well, if we're showing books, I can show Project Access.
Zim Geek channel. On
no,
YouTube.
now we're gonna say where we can be found at.
Zim Geek channel on YouTube. Indie Volt podcast. I'll be back on Thursday morning if Varian gets up in time. So, or even if
you can find me on.
Yeah.
I'll just start the stream without him. That's all. So.
Chuck, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, PINEAU. You can find me on Twitter at Chucky Pin. You can, of course, find me my Chuck's Raw Reviews on YouTube. Chuck's Raw Reviews.
Actually, I gotta send you a copy of my book, Chuck, so you can like rip it apart.
I'm already doing that because I bought a copy.
Of this?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait.
I've got a first print of that. Oh, never mind.
Nick, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Instagram searching project.access, which you can find. I'm Dexter Sin Challenge right now. Also, I have a Facebook. Just search Project Access. Yeah, Facebook and Instagram are my two places. Oh, on Twitter as well. At Project Access, I believe. I don't know the exact one, but just search Project Access.
Larry?
Oh, my turn. If I'm not underneath the dumpster...
Sorry, my computer lagged.
It's Niobe Comic for most things, like Niobe Comic Instagram, Niobe Comic Twitter, so you want to tweet at me. I don't know why you would. But Niobe Comic on Facebook. And then, though, for YouTube, it's Rebel Comics and Gaming, and I'm live most nights.
You have a...
Larry, I'm going to buy a comic.
Behind you.
Larry, I'm going to buy a comic of yours and then tweet at you telling you how much I like it. I'm warning you, I'll do that.
I have people that do that. I mean, at least they say they like it.
Where can we find the Indie Devil?
But I'm sure
Who's
it's coming.
covering his face.
Oh, here's Rob. Rob's muted.
Rob's being all fancy.
Unmute yourself, buddy.
Just go to every website. I own every website.
Oh.
That's just that.
I hear
Rob
you
owns the internet.
Yeah, that is true.
And I own the
Rob owns the
StreamYard.
internet.
Me and Varian own the StreamYard. So my StreamYard brings. So
your StreamYard brings all the boys to the yard.
So come get some. I'm gonna go back to reading.
Okay.
And Lola, where can
And
they
of
find
course, you guys can find me on Geekgasm every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and on Indie Vote Live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. or twerking on Batman.
Look how impressed Batman looks. It's like,
Oh my
I know he's
God.
not impressed by my twerking at all.
Yeah, but that's because the anchor
Get
covered
good,
up his
girl.
line.
That's right. The anchor covered
Get
up the
good.
line.
Oh, I do got good news today, though. Secure 2 new variant cover artists, CB Zane and Paul Green.
No, he's.
Oh, sorry.
What?
Someone's coming in and out.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying for announcements, I got 2 new artists. CB Zane is now doing Niobe covers, and Paul Green is back, who did this cover with Ula Moss. So great talent right there.
Nice.
Awesome.
Go.
Awkward silence is
What
awkward.
guy
Awkward
is in control of
silence.
my board?
Wow, what a pregnant pause that was.
Oh. So if
Hey,
you want to
you can-
find out more, www.indievolt.com. Listen online now. It's free. It won't cost you a dime.
It
Step your
won't.
time.
And it's really
Yep.
cool, actually. I got the app.
Or
And
I
there's,
listen to it all the
Find
time.
It's on Roku.
there's also on the Roku Indie Volt TV.
Oh, so there is an
finest
app for that.
Independent film and other
Independent wrestling.
fun things. Yes.
Music.
Wrestling.
Find it on
Independent
the Roku.
movies.
Soon coming to the Amazon Fire Stick.
Watch it on the device of your choice.
So
Yes.
the app will soon be on fire.
Yeah. All right, thanks everybody for watching. Stay safe, stay clean, wash your hands.
Wash your damn hands.
Stay healthy, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Don't touch yourself.
We appreciate y'all.
Yes, we appreciate it. Even our Indie Vote Radio listeners, we appreciate everybody tuning in tonight.
You are
Hey,
all
Thank you,
awesome.
guys.
If you're stuck inside your house for the next couple weeks, grab your favorite comics and sit down and give them a good read. Take a look at some indie comics. Read that stack of books that you've had sitting next to your nightstand that you keep swearing you're going to read one of these days. You'll be surprised how many great gems are just sitting there waiting for you to find.
I got like
So-
2
Now's
stacks
your
right
time.
Huh? I got a milk crate right back here of
Let's
stuff.
go.
I want your
I've been
spinner
putting off
rack.
for way too long. So
I keep telling you, I want your spinner rack.
you want my spinner rack? Never.
Yeah.
Never.
Not for sale?
No, not for
It's your own
I'm
spinner.
sorry. You know how rare those puppies are. This
Yeah,
one,
I know.
this
know.
one actually sat in a drugstore forever too, and it's got that squeak when you turn it. Oh, it's classic. Anyway. Reading.
Ooh,
research.
good choice.
There you go. Yeah. All right, everybody.
Just
Thanks
don't
for.
go. Just don't go
You're
berserk on
talking
us.
about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
He needs to come. He really does.
That
Wise
never gets
word
old.
from a wise man.
Yes, Batman. Batman is right.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.